if you're harder than this thing, you know where you belong. And if you're harder than this thing, you wouldn't be alone. If you're harder than this thing, you know where you belong. And if you're harder than this thing, you wouldn't be alone.
Hi everybody. Well, I was trying to set this feed up through GarageBand to record the audio through GarageBand so that we'd have this great like fat audio sound and I could do the video on my phone, but that's not how it's going to work because apparently GarageBand sucks and I have a pretty brand new laptop and GarageBand just doesn't want to cooperate. So we're just going to do the whole thing on my phone and the sound isn't going to be great, but you know what? Where there's a will, there's a way. So, hi, I am Dana Walker Inskeep. Welcome to the Revolution Within podcast. This is episode 6. A reminder, this isn't the time to let fear win. I'm going to be reading my notes here and looking up at you every now and then. So, welcome to the first YouTube feed week of the podcast. I am a wellness and mindset coach, and you're listening to, as I said, the Revolution Within podcast. We are here talking about and learning how to revolutionize your relationship within yourself. And how are we doing that? Well, we are getting unstuck from grief and self-imposed misery. We're practicing self-kindness, unlearning people-pleasing, and discovering what we want to do for ourselves rather than what other people want us to do for them. Let me tell you how you can find more information about working with me and how to get on the wait list for upcoming courses and all of the things. My website is revolution-within.com. I'm on Instagram at revolution_within31. And you can email me at Dana, that's D-A-N-A, at revolutionwithin.com. Okay, let's get into today's topic, shall we? We are talking about how not to let fear win because fear is what divides us. Anyone with any level of reading comprehension can see that in our media today, it's a convenient weapon of control, fear, and it's working beautifully. So let's work on changing that, shall we? See, when we go on social media and start doom scrolling, it's really easy to get lost in it. I've been doing my best to avoid it, but as an entrepreneur, it's kind of hard to completely abandon social media. I'm trying to build a business here. I'm writing a book. I started this podcast. I'll be launching a course within the next couple of months. And in order to build an audience these days, you have to be on social media in some way, shape, or form. I find it overwhelming sometimes, so I take breaks from posting. In fact, I took a break last week. But before I get too far off track from the topic of not letting fear win, let me go into why I've gathered you all here today. In this episode, I'm going to explain a process that has been so helpful to me that I'm blown away and I have to share it. Like, it's really helped me. I've heard it explained in many different variations before, but this week I heard it explained by Amanda Frances. She's best known as the Money Queen. She's an entrepreneur and business coach here in California who helps women, well, everyone, but mostly women, shift their mindset around earning money in business, which is something that women tend to get stuck on because we're like helpers and we're supposed to work for free, apparently, which no, we're not supposed to. And it's something I've been working on for quite some time, and she's recently become one of my mentors. I was led to her book, which is called Rich as Fuck, which is the best title ever. when I say led to, I mean I was energetically led to her book. I no longer believe in coincidence. Synchronicities happen. And they happen much more when you really start to focus on yourself and your own energy, and really focus on becoming kinder to yourself, which is exactly what I teach people how to do. Become kinder to yourself, and things begin to really unfold for you. The improvement in my daily life, the chaos in my mind, all of it it's really significant, and it gets markedly better every month. The kinder I become to myself. Anyway, I listened to Amanda's book on Audible. Her energy is really inspiring. It's a great book. She offers a lot of really great content. She has a free app and a community that you can join. She's amazing. I'm not an affiliate of hers, but I've taken a couple of her courses. Here's where I'm going with this. We're going to talk a little bit about manifestation right now. What is manifestation? It's the process of energetically attracting things to you. More specifically, it's focusing your thoughts, actions, and beliefs toward bringing a specific desire, goal, or outcome into your personal reality. It's the basis of the law of attraction. Oh my God, Dana, what the hell is the law of attraction? Okay. So there was this documentary film called The Secret that apparently came out in 2006. I remember it coming out like 5 years earlier than that. I swear it happened when, I don't know. I met my husband in 2005. I thought The Secret came out before I met him, but I guess it came out, I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, Rhonda Byrne was the documentary filmmaker who made The Secret. She pulled together a bunch of motivational speakers and writers and interviewed them about the common thread that ran through their lives, that being the law of attraction. Wayne Dyer was in it. I know Lisa Nichols was in it. She's a motivational speaker who I love, and she's just incredible. The author of the guy Jack Canfield, who wrote those chicken soup for the soul books, was in it. Anyway, the law of attraction states that basically what you pour your energy and focus into will come into your life. So if you're worshiping at the altar of Murphy's Law, then that's what your energy will attract. If you don't know what Murphy's Law is, Murphy's Law states that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. Like my dog barking his way up this hill while I'm trying to record. For those of you who've never heard of Murphy's Law, it means that anything that can go wrong will go wrong. The three segments of the law of attraction are: like attracts like, nature abhors a vacuum, and the present is always perfect. Okay, I had to pause the video for a while because my dog will bark forever, and that is all you will be able to hear. Anyway, so back to the law of attraction. Like attracts like is pretty self-explanatory, I think. What you are, you attract. If you're insecure, you'll attract insecurity. If you're kind, you'll attract kindness. That's my whole idea about self-kindness. If you're kind to yourself, you'll attract kindness. Nature abhors a vacuum. In a nutshell, if you remove the thing that isn't what you want and leave space for what you do want, it will show up. That's the idea behind that. And then number 3, the present is always perfect. The present is always perfect. Okay. That means that everything that happens is supposed to happen. So you can look at something challenging that happens as a tool for learning, or you can look at it as everything sucks and I hate it here. This might be the first time or the thousandth time you've heard this, but you are the creator of your own reality. Like me mispronouncing the word thousandth, I must have created that at some point along the line, right? Every blessing and every struggle you have was created by the energy you put out into the universe. In the law of attraction, it is known that what we focus our attention on grows. Example, if from the time you wake up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night, you're complaining about how the barista got your order wrong and the delivery guy put the package right in front of my screen door that opens out, hello, instead of where the sign is that I clearly marked right here. Yeah, that's me. I do. I have done that. And my feet hurt and my eye itches and these shoes are too tight and. Meaning, If you're always talking about and thinking about and focusing your attention on how much everything sucks, then guess what? Everything is going to suck. If you walk around saying, oh, I'm so tired. Oh my God, I'm so tired today. Geez, could I be more tired? Guess what? You're going to be tired. Words matter. Language matters. I get it. I've been a constant complainer, and it's a tough habit to break. I still have days where I do it. So I'm not judging here. This isn't about judgment. This is a conversation. We're having a conversation here, okay? I hear you talking back to me. I do. Okay, cool, Dana. So all I have to do is say things like, I'm rich all day long, and my bank account will go from the red to six figures, right? No. There's a little bit more to it. It requires an energetic and mindset shift. So mindset shifts are simple. They're definitely not easy. If they were, then everyone would do them. So everyone could just repeat mantras for a while and then they'd have completely different lives, right? If they were just easy, So once you've been able to shift your mindset, your energy naturally starts to change. When you're able to think about something differently, eventually you feel differently about it in your body too, and you inhabit a different energy. It typically doesn't happen instantly, but I suppose it can happen like that for some people. It doesn't happen like that for me, but this is all something that's really hard to put into words, and it's only something that you'll understand if you've experienced it in some way, shape, or form in your life. I'll give you an example here. Did you ever have a time in your life, like when you were younger, when you thought you'd never get over someone? Like you're 15 and your first love, Jake Green, kissed Amy Jones at the kegger in the woods behind Stu Reynolds' barn, and it broke your heart and you cried and cried, and oh, I'll never love again. Disclaimer, those are not real people and that is not a real event. I just made that up. But now you're 45 and it's 30 years later and you think back on it and you laugh and you honestly thought you'd never get over him because, yeah, he was cute and he was a good kisser, but also a liar. And hello, you were both 15. Ah, teenage hormones. You remember being a teenager? Memories. No. I wouldn't go back to those days for anything, especially now that I'm raising two teenage boys myself in the age of the internet. Yeah, back to the topic at hand. It feels like you become a different person in a sense. Lifetimes ago, you couldn't stop being heartbroken, but you did. You have a different mindset now. Now, here's an example of an energy shift. This is a personal example, okay? You thought you could never go on vacation alone, even though you wanted to for years. I wanted to for years. I dreamed of traveling with my own selfish desires being the only thing guiding me. They're not selfish. My desires are just as important as anybody else's, but I thought that they were selfish at the time. But I hadn't ever done it because of other than to go visit my parents or whatever. I'd never traveled alone because of finances, or I didn't want to leave the kids, or I didn't want to hurt my husband's feelings or whatever. But then I took some courses, I did some work, and then I started building up my own self-esteem, and I stopped relying all the time on external validation, and started to release my tendency toward people pleasing. And I mustered up the courage to have the conversation with him about it, and to my great surprise, he was supportive. So then I took a trip, and it was everything I ever dreamed of and more, and then I wondered why I ever doubted myself. And now I look back, and I've traveled solo many times. I've gone to conferences many times by myself, and I prefer traveling by myself. I love it. My kids don't love it, but I love it. And I now wonder how I ever could have been that person who was afraid to even bring it up. And that's an energy shift. So, knowing that what we focus on grows in energy or power, and that mindset shifts aren't easy, but they are simple, here's what I'm offering you to think about today. What if it were simply about deflating the balloon of the big, scary, overwhelming feelings by realizing that nothing is the one thing that we can't get past, that there is nothing that we can't overcome, that there's no relationship that we can't get over, that there's no pain that you can't heal from, that there's no obstacle that you can't get over. What if this obstacle was created for you to overcome, not to defeat you, but to prove what a badass you are? Our Creator, the universe, God, whatever your terminology, didn't put any challenge in our path to defeat us. They're put there to teach us and to make us stronger. That's the point of human beings existing. You've gone through hard things and you're still alive, right? But did you die? No, you didn't. Of course, it doesn't feel that way when you're in it, when you're in a painful time, when you've lost someone close to you, or your job, or your home, or you get a divorce, or whatever. It feels terrible. It feels like it's never going to end, like this grief or this misery or this heartache is everlasting, and the well of despair is endless, right? And I'm not asking you to ignore those feelings at all. Feel them. When they come, lean into them. Let that pain wash over you. Let it out. Let out a few primal screams in your car. That's actually really cathartic. Even if it'll leave your throat scratchy for a few days, it's worth it. Cry until you have no tears left. I don't know, maybe I'm the only one who's gotten trapped in a spiral of really painful emotions for years and years and years. That's what depression is at the heart of it. It's the pile of things not entirely dealt with, those emotions not fully felt, the ones avoided, ignored, swept under the rug because they've arrived at an inconvenient time, pushed down by overeating, overdrinking, overspending, over doom scrolling. But I know I'm not alone here. I know there are a lot of us out there who get caught in some deep well of agony and often numb out with something to make it temporarily feel less intensely agonizing. Because I've talked about it in previous episodes, I've talked about this. We live in a society that doesn't benefit from our happiness, but from our productivity. I'll repeat that. Our society as a whole doesn't benefit from your happiness, just your productivity. There are ways in which we were left woefully unprepared for adulthood through little to no fault of our own. Why can't we be both? Wouldn't it make more sense to be both? Wouldn't there be less violence? Or does that not matter? Spoiler alert, it does matter. Kindness matters. Creating more love in this world absolutely matters. But to get through those feelings, you have to practice all of this. The only way out is through. So if we're walking around being afraid of things, if we're terrified that we're going to not be able to afford to feed our families because of the current state of our government, or if we're afraid that there won't be enough of anything left because the food will run out because of the current person in office is going to deport all of the undocumented workers and I'm not going to go into it. Remember toilet paper though? I mean, come on. Now, I'm not saying that those fears aren't real or aren't legitimate. It truly is a scary time. These times are unprecedented, and yes, I anticipate a whole lot of I told you so's coming. There already have been. But, like I said in the last episode, that you can find on Apple Podcasts, it's always a scary time. It can always be a scary time. I'm 52 years old, and I can't think of a time in history when there wasn't something to be afraid of. There's always some huge unknown thing on the horizon. But we can be terrified of it, or we can prepare for it as best as we can and focus on the feeling that we want to feel empowered, not on the one that we don't want to fear. Right? And how do you get through it? 3 parts. Part 1, feel them. You give yourself the space to feel the feelings. I give my clients this exercise. Find a quiet space where you won't be interrupted. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Set a timer for 10 to 15 minutes. You can still use your phone for the timer and to record an angry diatribe into your voice recorder, or listen to sad music while you cry, or type a journal into Notes app or something. By the way, you can lock your notes. There's a little lock. If you're always afraid somebody's going to read my journaling, you can lock your Notes app. There's a little thing up in the right hand corner. Lock. There really is no excuse to have something private for yourself. Technology has given us the options for every form of privacy. Now, granted, I understand everybody has access to my everything. Well, it is what you make it, right? What you focus on grows, right? So anyway, take your 10 minutes, your 15 minutes, set a timer and use it and feel those feelings. Get them out of your body. Scream into your pillow, scream in your car. It's your time, so you get to craft it however you like. Listen to the saddest playlist that ever did sad. You can listen to Tool and Roundhouse kick the shit out of a heavy bag in your garage. I don't know anyone who does that. The point of this is to begin releasing the stored emotions from your body, because that's where they end up. This is a helpful exercise to practice if you experience urges to overdo something, fill in the blank, eat, drink, smoke, watch TV, play video games. Overdoing meaning unintentionally completely zoning out on something for hours without coming up for air and then feeling guilty about it afterward. Part 2. How do you want to feel instead? One thing we tend to get wrong with grief or negative emotions in general is a lot of make it stop, or I wish this wasn't happening, or I don't want you to feel like this. Okay, so if we get what we focus our attention on and we keep focusing on what we don't want, then what will we get? We will get more of what we don't want. And that's the opposite of what we want. So rather than focusing on what you don't want, let's focus on what you do want. Get very clear on the emotions that you do want to feel after you've done processing the painful ones. And then that takes us to step 3. Once you've figured out how you want to feel, practice getting into those feelings and lean into them. Keep in mind that this isn't something that you'll do once or twice. This is, again, you'll get very sick of hearing me say this. It takes practice, patience, and persistence to get the mindset shift into the energy shift. So if you're dealing with a breakup or a loss of some kind and it's really painful and you just want to feel peace, we'll go back through those 3 steps one more time. Number 1, feel the heartbreak, set your timer, do your 10 minutes. Number 2, start figuring out and focusing on what you'd like to feel instead. Relief, freedom from codependency, peace, joy. What do you want for yourself now? What would it feel like to have what you truly want? Number 3, imagine yourself a year from now with this feeling, this situation behind you. You're living your life. Maybe you're in a new relationship, or you have an amazing new career, or you're doing the traveling that you didn't do because that person or thing was holding you back. Envision the things you wanted to do but weren't able to because whatever it is that's causing the pain right now wasn't allowing it. That's focusing on what you do want. Shifting from that, I don't want to feel like this anymore, to how do I want to feel, to yes, this is how I want to feel. Feel the excitement of the life you're living, that you're already beyond this. With practice, you'll start stepping into that feeling more and more easily until you make that mindset shift, the energy shift, and voila, it's behind you. But again, practice. You practice your way into it. Like when I was 15 and I started piano lessons, my fingers didn't immediately start gliding out Chopin nocturnes. It's the same thing with any of this work. And with enough mindset shift practice, the energy shift is basically muscle memory. It's like you can't get there until you're ready for it. But when you get there and you look back, you think, how was I ever not here? It just becomes part of you. You can also look at everything you go through as something you were born with the capability to get beyond this. You've overcome difficult things before. What makes this any different? What makes this thing the one thing that you can't overcome? It's not. You always get through it. You were always meant to. In fact, you're already beyond it in some other dimension or timeline or whatever. That's assuming there are infinite possibilities in the universe, as is being theorized and is not yet proven, but seems to be getting close to being proven all the time. But this episode isn't about the multiverse theory. Let's save that for another time. So, how do you not let fear or grief or anguish become your default setting? How do you keep it from consuming you, particularly in times like this? Well, you get help. You'll hire a personal trainer, right? Everyone's like, oh, well, I want to learn proper form and technique so that I can have the greatest bang for my buck, the best effect in the shortest amount of time, and so that I don't, injure myself or drop a weight on my foot. So I'll hire a personal trainer. Well, why wouldn't you hire a mindset coach to figure out how to change the way that your mind thinks? Same thing. You can go it alone, or you can hire someone to help guide you and give you the roadmap to get your mindset and your energy shifts to happen faster and get you out of the fear, hyper focusing on what you don't want all the time, moving toward what you do want, get the best bang for your buck, right? So mindset coaching is personal training for your mind. It's training yourself how to think differently about yourself. It's not really therapy. Therapy is going back through deep trauma and healing things. I mean, it did talk about going back to your unconscious stuff over the last 2 episodes, but that had to do with uncovering micro traumas that you're not even aware of that could be repeating cycles. Like if you keep gaining back lost weight, or keep going back to drinking after stopping, or keep going back to any compulsive behavior that seems like it's out of your control. Those behaviors are like well-worn riverbeds. And if you want to reroute a river, that takes massive effort. It takes a lot of patience with yourself. It takes lots and lots of self-kindness, compassion, with zero judgment and shame. But those behaviors can absolutely be phased out with coaching. Coaching is about building your mental muscle, practicing better, empowering ways of thinking about yourself. Just like it's amazing to be strong and in shape, it's pretty fucking rad to look in the mirror and actually know that you like the person looking back at you, that person has your back, that you can trust that person, that you feel safe with yourself, that you know that you're not going to keep judging and shaming yourself into submission. I think everyone could use therapy at some point in their life, but that's just my opinion, especially when you're going through some major trauma, the death of a loved one or other really terrible things that happen in life. So if you've experienced major trauma and you haven't gone to therapy and have that healed, that's different. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about training your brain to understand that you deserve to live a life that you truly love. That's our birthright as humans, and we were convinced otherwise somewhere along the way by outside influences. You deserve not to be influenced by a media that benefits from keeping you afraid. You deserve to feel safe. You deserve to feel content. You deserve kindness, and you deserve to be kind to yourself. So, if there's only 2 things that you can take away from this episode, my beautiful dreamers, I hope it's these 2 things. Number 1, feel your painful feelings, but don't dwell in them. Don't wallow in them, and don't splash around in the pity pool of them. Set your 10-minute timer, feel the feels, move away from that, and then into the good feelings that you want to feel. And number 2, if you don't want to be ruled by fear, then don't focus on it. Focus on what you can control. Prepare for what you can prepare for, and then turn your attention to what you want to see in the world. Be that strength, courage, resilience, be it grace, kindness, compassion, be it joy, silliness, or outright hilarity. Be the change you want to see in the world. Me, I'm going to keep spreading kindness like a glitter bomb. Thanks for listening. If you have any comments or questions, there's an option in the show notes on the podcast feed on Apple Podcasts that you can text me with your thoughts, so please feel free. On YouTube, you can leave a comment below. Also, it really helps the show to leave a good review, hopefully with 5 stars attached, and share it with everyone you know, please. I appreciate you, and I'll talk to you next time. Take care, and remember, all will be well. Bye.